Good. So, good day, everyone. Today, I would be pleased to share with you some information about the science of biogeometry, but not exactly like the last two times we met here, because today I'm planning to demonstrate some techniques practically. So, this lecture will be about some information theoretically, and then we go to some harmonization protocols. So what I was hoping by sending you a message yesterday that some of you might have the experience to use exactly, Dimitri, the pendulum. And with this, because the benefit of this that I will be sure that you are experiencing a kind of the different rotations we will have here using the pendulum, and then you will be like experiencing the transformation happening to the energy quality we have here, with what kind of energy quality we started, and through a few techniques, what kind of energy qualities started to be launched here in this place where I'm giving the lecture. All right, fine. So what I would like to share with you of information, it's about the basics on which the science of biogeometry is based. And this is what we call the physics of quality, because the type of physics we were studying at school, or some of you in the higher level of education, it what we can call physics of quantity. The biogeometry as a science of energy and science of using the energy of shape, it's depending on the physics of quality, which is completely another type of physics. And as we were taught, also, if you remember, Dimitri, we talked with you the first BioWell course years ago, that the absolute reality uh, it's about 99%, and the 1% up to 2% is perceived reality in which we find ourselves in what we call the same time the physical world. And the physics of quality is exactly the kind of physics which is dealing with the total reality, the absolute reality. Partly is the 1% of the physical world, the perceived reality, and the rest, which is the major part, which we call the absolute reality. For that, we need to refer back to some of the facts about the ancient Egyptian, which we started to call, from the perspective of this kind of science, the physics of quality, not only the ancient Egyptian, but Egyptian culture, but the eternal Egyptian, because here we talk about a kind of science of energy which is related to the uh, whole higher levels of existence, not only the physical level in which we use our sensories, like seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, and so on, but the higher levels where there is higher sensories with which the other part of existence, as part of creation, is to be also experienced, each one according to his ability and the efforts he's giving to experience part of the hidden part of the existence we are living in. So in the eternal Egypt, the very famous Pythagoras, he was spending there like 22 years, try to experience and to learn about these sciences in the Egyptian temples. And as he went to the temples, he started to ask them to teach him from the science of the temples, but they said to him, we are not teaching, we don't have anything to teach, but we are temples of experience. It means we are living this connection between us and the laws of nature and these higher levels through their prayers and stuff. And we experience this personally, directly, without having a classic protocol of teaching. And they had basically two types or two parts from which their knowledge are coming. Part one, they used to call Tut, or Tuhut in the ancient Egyptian language. And this was the part responsible or related to what we call today universal wisdom or universal mind, you can call it also. And the other part was the mat or netter. And from netter, the word came later, nature, and which is exactly the universal laws or universal order. So from this point of view, they were receiving and connected and communicating with nature through understanding and feeling, experiencing the universal laws and dealing with it through the sciences they were developing. And a big difference is between the way how sciences or people living at that time, few thousand years ago, and today, the level of communication, the level of interaction between them and nature in its higher levels. The physical action we are implementing or doing or experiencing today, it's always also not purely full of the material aspect, but even the physical actions we are doing today, whether it's moving or building something or changing something, it's including also higher levels or what we can call multi-dimension aspects. So the physical actions we are doing now today is not only purely 100% as it looks like as a material aspect, but it is including and even the higher dimensions of the aspects in the physical actions we're doing today is the higher percent. And the question is how you can bring harmony into the different daily physical actions we are doing from which our life consists of. We will need to reconnect with these laws of nature, which is responsible of embedding the balance into our daily actions, which we call the physical actions. And then we would have a different level of collective balance in our life, feeling, thinking, and acting. It means we need to try to try to find what kind and what are the different laws of universe and to bring them back into the daily actions and daily life. So the sequence from the beginning until the brain start to realize and situation around us through our conscious, which is also the smaller part from the consciousness, which is 70, 95%, 98% the subconscious, or you can call it the higher conscious, and 2-3% is the conscious, is the following. That first, there is what we call life force, and the life force here is or belongs to the absolute reality. And this life force is the one responsible of feeding this major part of our awareness, which is the subconscious. So after the life force start to feed the subconscious, then life force also on its higher levels will be working all the time independently from our own will. It means we don't have generally a mechanism with which we can force or change the life force feeding into our subconscious. Then this life force is essential to make the blood streaming into our brain useful, because brain will not be receiving the information coming from the senses and building our perceived reality unless brain is alive. So it will not be a living brain without blood streaming in it, and the blood is including and having and feeded with this life force. So at the end, it means that the perceived reality with which our brain is building through the senses we have, the famous five senses, it's depending on, at the end of the day, on the life force bringing life to the blood into the brain, making it able to build the picture we see. We will start to repeat some information we already were talking about maybe 2 years ago, just to remind some of the audience and colleagues about the fundaments of biogeometry before we start to do some exercises and some harmonization techniques. So in this slide, we'd like just to share with you that when we talk about laws of nature, maybe some of us would ask about what kind of law of nature, per example. So we have mastering law of nature, we call the law of time. And we have other law, which is the law of resonance. And law of time here is mastering law because it is the one responsible of giving the harmony into the motion. And when the creation started, so it meant that by starting the creation, something needed to be harmonized from the beginning, which is the state of duality. Because when life started to be available and having creation, the level where life is created meant that there is definitely started to be having a motion, and the motion needed to have balance, not to be motion in vain, because with having motion, if you don't have an order which is organizing the forces created in duality, and duality is by definition is almost chaos. So you would need force to harmonize the motion between the two parts consisting or creating this duality. For example, when the atom was created, the atom had a nucleus and the electrons orbiting. And without having a balance in motion, by the law of time, as a mastering law coming from the life force, then the electrons will, if they will have not a balance in their movement around the nucleus, then they will skip the orbit and the atom will vanish, will not exist anymore. So here we're coming to something more related to what we were explaining previously in the last 2 years, which is the type of energy we call the harmonious energy, or the type of energy we are using in biogeometry to harmonize space. So it means we have other types of energy which need to be harmonized or need to have a transformation from its center to be exactly the harmonious energy. When we make a harmonious protocol in some place, we recreate the same type of energy we find in what called power spots worldwide. The power spot, for example, it's where the Great Pyramid is built. And other power spots you will find in many places in the world. But because these power spots from the space here is not big enough that we just try to live around or in it, so the science of biogeometry, which using forms and angles and also numbers. And these are the main materials we are using in biogeometry, plus colors too. It's recreating the same type of energy, which we call the subtle energy or the harmonious energy. When we harmonize the place, we are using a tool, a main tool we are using to measure the energy quality at space, which we call the pendulum. And now I would like to check with you if some of you managed to have any kind of natural pendulum.
I have one for sure.
You have one, that's great. So the one I will be using, if you can see me, is a pendulum looks that way. This pendulum is one of main two pendulums I'm using to check the vibrational condition of the space where I am. The other one, it looks that way. And next question might be, what is the difference? The difference is that this one, we call it the BG16, it's a pendulum with which we can measure if there is a level of harmonious energy from the bottom to the middle level. But if we need to check if there is a high level of BG3, which is a biogeometrical energy, we will be using that one. Why? Because this plexiglass one having here a combination of three discs. They are together, we call it a disturbance, actually an interference configuration. Interference, to understand it in a simple way, it's like a break. And because of these three discs on the top causing interference, then this pendule will not be rotating unless there is a high or strong quality of harmonious energy. So when we start to do any of the steps of the biogeometry to harmonize a place, we using mainly that one. And we need to check at space that, because this protocol of harmonizing a space, it actually consists of many steps. And to be accurate in doing each step of this protocol, you need always, when you finish the step, to turn it off. Turn it off, it means you don't get an assistance from a previous solution while you were implementing the next solution. So each solution must come to find its sweet spot, the optimum spot where you put your solution to have the maximum effect on space. But if you have the previous one working, then it will be helping and you will have a very big margin of error. And that's why, and because I have harmonized this flat here where I'm sitting, I had yesterday to switch off the solutions I have put a few years ago so I could start to show you what I'm doing. I have here my friend Patrick, who will help me because I don't want to be carrying pendulums and the laptop and everything. So he will be kindly help me with his devices in order to show you what we're gonna do. So are you still awake? Hopefully.
Yes.
Okay. So, good. So here, this is a living room. It's about 4.5 by 4.5 square meter. And first, I would like to explain to you how the pendulum works. The pendulum works as a tool with which we measure with our body first, the vibrational state of the space and the communication between our body and the space will be shown on the rotation of this pendulum. It means that I will be asking what direction would mean what. This will need from us to know that the harmonious energy, the vital energy, the life force energy is streaming in the specific direction, which is clockwise. So it means if this pendulum or any pendulum you have, within the time you are interacting with the space or with any piece of furniture, or if you interact even with an idea, so the result of this interaction, whether with the idea or piece of furniture of the space, your body, this is your body, but not only the body, but also your higher dimensions, your vital dimension, your emotional, mental, and spiritual dimension will be all responding to the interaction between you and a space, for example. So then here I will be interacting with the space around me and giving this pendulum just the natural position, which is to push it forward and back. I will stand that way so you can see I'm pushing it just forward and back, but I'm not rotating it that way or that way. So I will be pushing it forward and back. It's like giving the car the gasoline. And then you see with the car having the gasoline in what direction it will go. So the condition of the space now here is with this natural position forward and back. I'm looking to different square meters here at space. It's not rotating. It means I manage to shut down the solutions I had here before. And that's why the energy of that space, it's on low level. Comparing to if I will be trying to see another part through this door, the other part here is having different energy quality. If I will be here communicating with, you can see a difference. This is because I didn't shut the solutions outside the living room. Once I'll start to go inside the living room, and the barrier here is the door, it stops to rotate. And I'm inviting you, or the part of you who managed to have a pendulum, to try to imitate exactly what I'm doing. But to help you with some technical points, on which part of the string you have to hold the pendulum. The easiest way is, if you have a natural pendulum, you start to have very small part of the string, let us say 2-3 centimeters, put it over or above your hand, give it a slight push forward and back, and don't focus on the pendulum, just focus on your hand itself, and start to make the string millimeter by millimeter longer until it starts to rotate. And this is as good as your wavelengths, because you need with this to calibrate, or with this you are calibrating your pendulum, that it will measure exactly what your body is experiencing when you interact with the space. If I will be holding it with the wrong string length, it will not translate what's happening to me when I'm interacting. So I need first to have a suitable string length. For me, it is almost 4 fingers above the. Hopefully, some of you managed to have this. If someone managed, because I don't see your screen now, I'm busy doing something else, you can tell me. So, Dimitri, do you have any rotation holding your pendulum up,
Yeah, it's
rotating?
approximately 7 centimeters.
All right. If you hold by this 7 centimeters length of a string and focusing on your hand, it is measuring your own energy. Is it rotating clockwise?
Counterclockwise.
Clockwise. Not counter
Counterclockwise.
is not good sign.
I need a
Are
break.
we stressing you so much? So I will look, my dear friend, if we want to change it to the clockwise, I will recommend you to remember something positive happening to you, like the first time you met me, for example.
Okay.
So I'm also suggesting to our audience and friends to, unless you have very loud background, that you turn off your microphone, because this session is an interactive one. So you don't need to be sitting back uh, like outside of the story. So just turn on, if you like, definitely your microphones and start to communicate while we're
Yeah,
walking this.
I have allowed everyone to turn on the microphones who wants to.
Okay, thank you very much. So could you manage to have a clockwise rotation by remembering something positive?
Yeah, remembering the
Really?
first time we met, yes.
Let us say your lovely kids, your lovely family is good.
Yeah, it turns into the clockwise mode for a while.
Yes.
But
Sometimes you lose the focus on the
if
idea.
I
Yeah.
restart, it starts rotating counterclockwise again.
Okay, then it's just a matter of training. So so I would like you to focus on the space here where I am, and tell me if there is a signal of a specific rotation. Just looking through the camera to where I am. By the way, a pendulum must not be something complicated. If you have a string and any weight and you tie the string to the weight, it will be a natural pendulum. It is just that it's the vibration coming to the fingertip. It will be uh, shown through the movement direction of the pendulum. Because if you have just a string without a weight, the resistance of air will not let the vibration at the end of your fingertip visible. I can see someone, as this is Avel, right? He's having also a pendulum. That's great. See, we have more people. Very good. And we have also Carmen. Thank you very much for sharing the craziness we are doing now. Very good. So I I would like you to try to focus on the space where I am here, which we will gonna change its energy quality to see before we do anything how it looks like energetically, vibrationally. We have also Elizabeth having one. That's great. MGF. Oh, you're great. You're great people. That's I was always concerned that nobody will care about this pendulum issue. That's great. So if you get a communication with this space where I'm here, imagine yourself living in this place. But don't worry, I will not let you pay the rent. Just imagine that you're living here and communicating with the space here. What kind of rotation you have? Maybe if it's not clockwise rotation, I will understand this. If it is, then because your natural pendulum is detecting through your body the low level of harmonious energy I have here, because I'm still have a kind of harmonious energy level.
I'm
But
getting
I don't
clockwise.
have, sorry, yes, Carmen?
I am getting clockwise when I think of your space.
That's great. But now every one of you having clockwise rotation, whatever the strength of this rotation, try to remember it, because when we make the next step of transforming the energy through biogeometrical step, I want you to check if the energy level will increase. You can notice this from the speed of rotation. All right? So I will try now to just, I'd like to see where I'm working, not to be bored. So for your information, and it might be important to know that we have here at this space, like you have at your space where you're living, we have here something we call the geopathic stress. The geopathic stress is one of the major issues, problems we have at space, at home, where we have. This geopathic stress, the famous two types of lines of this geopathic stress, one called Hartmann-Banker and one called Carry, if you have heard about these names. Each type of them having lines of geopathic stress which are partly horizontal, like a carpet. The width is 20 to 30 centimeter. It's like a level. And this is Carey or Hartmann. And they have also vertical lines. It's like a wall. So you can imagine they are repeating themselves each 2 meters approximately. So imagine a space like this, 4 by 4, 5 by 5 square meter, how many lines it would have from each type, vertically and horizontally. So to imagine the intensity of the stress, vibration, and frequencies we are living in. Now, the solution of the biogeometry using this, what we call 28 disk. I will come a little bit closer so you might see it. Do you see something?
Yes.
Okay. This disk is emitting strongly the biogeometrical energy. If I will focus on it, can you see? And this is even with my pendulum, which is detecting first from a high level. So here I will be checking on that wall. Patrick, ich sehe, dass mein Bild ist klein. Sieht es hier anders? Okay. Also, I will be going to that wall. Kann ich sehen, wie du mich siehst, dass ich sehe, wo ich bin? I will go to that wall, and at a specific height from that wall, there is definitely a line. Whether Hartmann or Banker, doesn't matter, but there is a horizontal geopathic stress line. Is it here? It is there. It is there. I checked it before just to save time, but let us check it with this pendulum and with this tool. When I'm going with this tool from the bottom slowly up, when this pendulum and yours will be rotating stronger, it means the harmonious solution have met a horizontal geopathic stress line. And when I'm exactly in the heart of the line, in the middle, the rotation will be stronger. Let us try to experience this. I will start holding the solution very close to the wall and not focusing on the solution, not focusing on the wall, focusing on the space itself. I don't have rotation. My speed of moving this solution must not exceed the speed of response of my pendulum. It's still not meeting any horizontal line. Look, If you can see, here, something happened. And I want to ask you, with you measuring the space here where I am, have you recognized any changes yet?
I think not as fast as yours, but yes, it is anti-clockwise.
Thank you very much. You calmed my heart. Otherwise, I will get heart attack.
I don't know
Good.
if you're able to see it on the camera there.
The point is, we are having different levels of sensitivity. It depends on how much we use a pendulum and how much we can really focus without being distracted. So anyone else detected any increase of the rotation?
Very minor, but I am.
All right. From my perspective, I have entered now a horizontal line. If I will exceed going up, I will lose it because I'm now outside the line, outside the horizontal line. I will need to go back again. But what about if I will move with this solution as I move now vertically to detect a horizontal line, that I move now horizontally to detect to enter a vertical line? Then we might have more effect. So I can see here, I am in a cross between a horizontal and a vertical line. Any response? I want you to consider that we're doing this with you remotely. It will be easier for you and more recognizable if you will be here with me. Any increasing? Don't forget, you are focusing on my space here. Okay, I will accept this spot. So I will be putting the solution for now here. And I will be, after putting the solution, making what we call environmental criteria checking. Environmental criteria checking, it means I check the space and I check different items we have here at this space, like table, TV, whatever. So the next is we check the space. Definitely, I will not make a full check, so saving the time. So what I experience here is what we call a bump. What is the bump? A bump is an area which is still resisting, although we have a solution here switched on. If you check with me this area remotely, do you recognize any slowing down of the rotation speed of your pendulum? Any negative response?
It's not moving. Mine is not moving. And now it's counterclockwise a little bit.
Okay. What I wanted to say is that after implementing a solution, we make a detection for the energy reflection on that space after having a solution. And when we do this, we detect definitely after just one solution that there is some areas resisting, some areas still not having the transformation done. And that's why we will be simply feeling happy about this first step, but we need to cover it. It means switching it off so we can find freely with other solution a suitable. So it's off, and you should be having less rotation now because we dropped the energy level. Then we will be trying to detect another area where we can put another solution, and it must be at least 2 meters from the first one. First, I need to take the baseline measurement. There is no rotation, starting from the 0 point and going up. Hoping to find another horizontal line. We don't know the last one was Carey or Hartman. We don't need to know this now. But if the last one was Carey, so the next one will be Hartman and vice versa. As long as we are within the same less than 2 meters. I start to have a rotation. What about you?
Well, I
Dimitri,
started at the same time.
do you have now rotation? Carmen? What about having the solution in that spot?
Yeah, I do, but it's
No.
minor.
Okay, but it's more than before.
Yes.
Okay. If you would be here, you would definitely have more contrast between the state of having no transformation and the state of having transformation. So then I will be moving with this solution right and left to check if there is stronger rotation away from that point, depending on if I will be meeting with the horizontal, crossing with the vertical line. It's less, so it's not the direction. So if anyone having a stronger rotation, you may tell me.
No, for me, there is no reaction.
Okay, and here? Still no reaction.
Not for me.
We will check the string length. You may tell me how much time I still have.
Just a minute.
A minute.
No, 15 minutes left.
15 minutes. Okay, thank you. So from my perspective, from where I'm measuring, it's acceptable to put this here. I was even having the plaster sticker ready to save my and your time. So it's okay. to put it here. But covered, because I will not make environmental criteria now like before, just to save time. But in real harmonization protocol, we always put a solution and check the effect of this solution on what we call the pyramid of the environmental criteria. A pyramid means there is the less resisting elements down, and by going up, we have more resisting elements at space. We call this HRB, just an initial for the meaning of this, what we're doing. So now it is like we started the session. The energy is low here because we shut down both solutions. I will be doing a third solution different than the other ones, because the last two ones we were depending on implementing the tool, which is creating the harmonious energy inside the stress point in the geopathic stress line, whether horizontal, vertical here as a cross, or there horizontal, vertical at the other side of that same wall. The other possibility is depending on something in biogeometry, we call it the boundary effect. And the boundary effect is when you move from a room to a room through the door, there is here a potential that if you harmonized the door frame area, then the harmonious energy through the door frame exactly here will have a strong effect on harmonizing both sides of the door. And that's why you may notice I have here shut down previous solution I made years ago, and another solution having here on that other side. The solution here on the door, which we call doorway solution, consists of these two tools, this desk and this numerical attachment with the number 7 and the number 16. And if you may ask why number 7 and 16, because 16 anyway is harmonious number. And we said before that biogeometry tools with which we implement techniques to recreate the harmonious energy to transform and harmonize the detrimental energy qualities consist of forms. And this is one of the forms I had to shut down yesterday. This was called the space harmonizer. This alone can harmonize to 150 square meters. But not when you put it anywhere. This space harmonizer, you need first to find a head needle size point where harmonious energy emitting. We call this the micro harmonious energy center. And then when you find it, you just do like ancient Egyptians were doing. Have you ever seen an obelisk? I mean, not the two pieces stolen from the Egyptians in Washington and Paris, but elsewhere. Because the idea of the obelisk, to tell you, will help us to understand why this there on this head needle size energy, harmonious energy spot. Because the obelisk was granite, big part of granite is something we call quartz or quartz. And the quartz has from nature strong ability to amplify the signal. And because the quartz in granite is amplifying the signal, so ancient Egyptians were searching for the strongest spots, might be 2 square meters by 2 square meters, smaller or bigger, and erect exactly the obelisk as an antenna with the quartz in to take the micro emitted harmonious energy from its spot to be flooding, to be amplified and covering all the village or a small city. Depends on how big the obelisk is. But now the funny thing is that this part of the science behind the obelisk, we didn't tell the French or the Americans by stealing our obelisks, and they might have erected this on not a good signal spot to use it in the wrong way. I will tell them, but once they bring it back. So what I want to tell you, this solution is working according to the same principle. So I had to shut it down to do the work I'm doing now. Back to the doorway solution. We will use, this was about the forms. I show you this Smith harmonizer to show that we use also forms, like we use angles. And this is here 2 examples of the angles. This is an angle we use in the mirrors and windows and doors. This is we call the angle 90. And this very innocent looking angle, it can protect against the emission of the 5G antenna. And the other angle is 66. It's specialized in appliances, electrical devices. And so you have seen an example of the forms, the angles, and the third example is the numerical attachment. The 16 is harmonious number. It has to do with the golden ratio of that 1 to 1.618. Always the 16 is emitting harmonious energy. It's law of nature. And the 7, because 7 as a number is very strong in communication. So we put this desk, and it has something we call a polarizer on it. Maybe you could see something on the desk. A shape. It's a shape on one side and the numerical attachment on the other side. So let us see, because this desk we will try to put on the frame of the door to emit and generate the harmonious energy. It's only working on one side of the door frame. And which side you have to detect this through using your pendulum. So I will start here on that side. Doesn't matter up or down, just I have to detect what side I have to work on and see how the energy of the space is changing. According to my measurement of quality, there is no changes, whether here or on the other side. So it must be the wrong side. So I go to the other side. But when I put this disc on the water frame, on the door frame, I need to check that my finger is not covering the shapes on the disc. So it's not here I can see there is a quality measurement saying there is a rotation, a clockwise rotation, a rotation which is saying that my body, my whole entirety, which is in interaction, in communicating with the space energy quality, is having a vitality at that moment because of me putting this disc at that side of the door. So the space here inside, on that side of the door in the living room, and in the floor here outside on the other side, it's much better than when I'm taking it out. It stopped rotating. Do you have any response? I know that's for you difficult to measure from distance, but I'm still asking. Hope never dies. Do you detect any? You're still looking to this area where the door is. I can see from here a nice rotation, but this is my rotation on the screen of the computer. So anyone else have any rotation?
Hesham, can I ask you to leave at least 5 minutes for questions for the people?
How many minutes you have?
5.
Okay, so we start now to go to questions.
Yes.
And hopefully you get a kind of a feeling of what's going practically until we have something amazing happen whenever we harmonize the space. And I hope I can show you this. So do you receive any questions, Dimitri?
Well, yeah, I can see some questions in the chat about the like where to get these disk circle solutions that you are applying.
These equipments, whether you contact one of the practitioners, I can give you a list of them distributed worldwide to implement these uh, tools inside your space, or I can give you the address from where you can also ask for part of them, because part of them are just giving from Dr. Karim's institution to the practitioners implementing these tools in the space, in the home or practice, or part of the tools you can have like these. At least I can arrange for you, because these tools you can use for the electrical cables. So you can harmonize the appliances and electric cable, and also you can harmonize the main electrical panel at your home. When you harmonize, I can assist you with this. When you harmonize the electrical panel, which is governing electricity at your home, and you check with your pendulum any cable or any socket, you will find that there is harmonious energy. And it is a big step that you protect yourself from the electromagnetic field running in your flat, in your home, by harmonizing the electrical panel, the main one. It's normally or used to be beside the entrance of your place. This I can arrange.
Another question coming from me.
Sure.
What is your experience? How much dependent are the results of such measurements on the actual person?
I didn't get the
It
question.
means I'm more sensitive, another person might be absolutely non-sensitive and no interaction, like interactive with the surrounding space.
So first, for every one of us, basically, it means that you would exercise. You need to exercise, because some of you will be distracted, and some of you will be imposing suggestions. And this is a good question, because I have to explain here that biogeometry is not physics of, it's not mental physics. It's not mental radiesthesia, where you ask yes or no. This is a physical radiesthesia, not a mental radiesthesia. What does it mean, not mental and physical? It means it's measuring the condition of the vibration, the energy you have, apart from your way of thinking. Because in mental radiesthesia, the problem is when you ask yes or no, you have already a preferred answer in your mind, at least in your subconscious. And you are imposing with placebo effect a specific answer. So you can hardly be 100% natural when you ask yes or no, because you prefer one side. If you don't recognize in your subconscious, there is a preferred side according to your culture, according to your personification, and so on. So you need to be trained. It is not mental radiesthesia, and it is detecting the effect of the vibrational condition around you apart from your mood and psychological condition. And you can rely on this. I just wanted, while there is possibly other questions, to show you, because I always forget here to share screen from where, because I'm old-fashioned guy, almost 60. So I will need to just to share, yes, this screen. Do you see the screen I have now? This is biowell measurement.
Yep.
Just I want to show you this measurement, and I would be happy to have a kind of sharing on input from your end. This is someone I have measured many years ago. And you can see that was shortly before 9 p.m.
Mhm.
And I will go very fast through the diagrams, just showing the diagrams, not explaining. Try to remember, do you see this very low level of balance? Okay. And I gave this patient, I gave her something we call biosignatures. And these biosignatures are energy pattern implemented on bronze or silver plates, and you carry them. And these biosignatures are twin energy pattern like the ones you have inside the organs. It's not meridians, because meridians on the periphery, but I'm talking about energy pattern inside the different organs of your body. And when they come into resonance, because of the law of nature called the resonance, the law of resonance, they not flooding energy inside your body, but they are working by centering, harmonizing. It means if there is energy patterns in your organs are high, overactive or underactive, they come to norm. And that's why I want you now to see the second measurement after less than half an hour by putting biosignatures of biogeometry in her biofield, like in her pocket or on a necklace on her neck. Look at this improvement after 25 minutes. Do you remember the last one?
Yes.
And this is and the balance that you can see. If we do this, sorry, I lost it. Yeah, it's here. So this is, for example, if we just look to the balance between and after, just to have more sense, or the high level of stress, almost 5 here, and the organ balance, it was low, and then later on, the organ balance changed from over 40 to over 90, and she did not feel something particular. So she did not feel, and there is no expectation for placebo effect on that matter. Why? Because I was sometimes making these measurements with people where I put the biosignatures in their biofield without telling them even. So there is no placebo effect. I was making one time an experiment, someone I gave but I always use people who are on high level of stress, because as bad the health condition is, as big transformation you can recognize. Someone having 99% of balance will not recognize significant change. So I just try to find the people who are, let us say, almost dying, and then giving him some biosignatures to see if there is a big change recognizable or not. And I had one time, Dimitri and all your friends, I gave one of them this biosignatures, and the other, I said, no, you will not have it. And I measure you after half an hour. But actually, the one I said I will not give, I gave him without, and both of them had very good improvement, which means the element of placebo in the equation was not significant. So
Yeah.
I hope
yeah.
you have benefit from this very humble introduction or presentation, not in the classic way like I was
May
doing
I
before.
ask you, please?
Sure.
How can we access or contact with you? Can you give us your contacts or
I will after.
Don't worry, everyone will share the contacts. All the videos of all the presentations will be uploaded on the YouTube channel, and there will be contact details of each of the presenters. So,
Thank you, Dimitri.
or
So I was
when
just
the
by
next
asking our
lecture will
permission.
happen, Hesham can type the contacts in the chat.
that amazing? Thanks.
So, because I'm very, very passionate about this science of biogeometry, it took my last 10 years of life. I always happy to find people who are desire to know about it. And don't worry, communicating with me will not cost you money. Just
Okay.
pray for me whenever you have time.
Deal.
And wish me to be rich. That's also nice from you.
Okay,
you.
deal, Hesham. Thank you very much. We have to
I
go.
would like, before I go, to thank my dear friend who was running behind me in this room. Is Patrick. He
Hi,
is our
everybody.
videographer. And with his assistance only, I could be running like a crazy guy in this room, trying to
Thank
show
you,
you the
Patrick.
rotation of this pendulum.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, Patrick.
Thank you. It was very interesting.
Thank you very, very much for your
Happy to
assistance.
support
Yeah.
you.
Okay,
Thank you.
we
And
continue.
he is also possibly available if some of you in the US or in France or any place, but just book for him 5 stars hotel. He will come to help you.
Come on.
Perfect. Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrick.
Have a pleasant day.
Thank you very much.